So Meta just launched the Meta Llama 3.1 in three variants: the 8 billion parameter model, the 70 billion parameter model, and the 405 billion parameter model. And I wanted to make this video just to just to give you some reasons on as to why I think this actually might be a pretty big deal. First of all, it has contact length up to 128,000 tokens, which I'm not sure out of all the open source models, I don't think any other one actually comes close. I believe the last one, Meta Llama 3.0, or the just three, actually had a context length of only 8,000 tokens. So this is a pretty big jump up from what it had before. The Llama 3.1 405 billion model actually is it's comparable to GPT-4o in some benchmarks, and also Claude 3.5 Sonnet and Opus in other benchmarks as well. And I believe this is actually the first open source model that actually competes against some of the top closed source model. Like, this is the first time. This is why it's a big deal, because we're finally seeing open source kind of at the crossroads where we are. For the last 12 months, people didn't think open source would have reached closed source so quickly, but we are starting to see that crisscross. And within the next 12 months, it's very, very possible that open source might actually exceed closed source. I think we're likely hitting a plateau at this point. I don't know what OpenAI has under their sleeve, but it seems like that race and the difference between how far closed source was in the past, it's definitely decreasing over time. So as you can see, Llama 3.1 405 billion model parameter model actually is very compared in the MMLU test. It's very competitive to the GPT-4o and Claude 3.5 Sonnet, as I mentioned before, on the human eval 89 versus 90.2 versus 92. So it's getting very, very close. And then you get the math benchmark, which is comparative to GPT-4o and a little bit better than Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So before we actually test the 3.51 Sonnet, Llama 3.1 405B, because I'm just too many names, too many acronyms, but I want to just go over 10 potential reasons why I think this actually might be powerful and why people are just underestimating it. Well, the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway from all this is that it's open source. And this allows researchers and developers to actually have unprecedented access on their own machines. Obviously, 405 billion is still a big model, so you're not going to just run it off like a crappy computer. You still need you still need a decent computer with actual power, but still, like, if you have access to that, you can now run top of the line performance on your computer, which is insane. And this is I believe this is probably the first time we got to this level on device. It's also the performance, as far as the benchmarks and tests go, it gets really close to already the top of the line what we have currently. So GPT-4o, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and as you can, on this channel specifically, I've made so many videos on 3.5 Sonnet. So I will probably make a couple of videos on Llama 3.1, probably not within this video, but in other videos. The other thing about these models are all three variants actually have support for 128,000 context length. The models are multilingual as well, up to 8 languages, and the smaller models are actually much better and comparative to. I don't know if it's as comparative to like GPT-4o Mini, which I think is amazing, to be honest. I made a video on this before where I wasn't too impressed, but I'm very, very much impressed with how powerful it is for how small that model is. The model now also supports inbuilt support for like tool calling, web search, math calculations, code interpretation as well. And honestly, the licensing is actually pretty generous. And this is likely to enhance just the overall progress in AI if everyone is starting to use these open source models and just really testing and tinkering, because now the public has access to what previously we didn't necessarily have access to. And the biggest thing, for all the flack that Facebook and Meta gets and Zuckerberg gets, honestly, the fact that he's redeeming himself in such a way is impressive. I will say that. I really did think he was going to go down under with all the flack that he got over the privacy issues for Meta and Facebook over the last 10 years. But yeah, I mean, Meta is finally pushing, and I think you really need like a multi-billion-dollar company to push something like this. smaller companies that try to push this. I don't think you can push it as far as a mega corporation, a huge company. So I feel like this is really pushing open source to the next level, and it's democratizing AI. It's making it easier and cheaper for all of us to really use. And so yeah, global impact. The capabilities are actually great. Responsible. It does have some safety features embedded within the model and accelerated progress, which I think everything. I often visit the subreddit Singularity, which is the idea that there is a single point where everything progresses so far ahead that they all just sort of just like mishmash together, and you have like a singularity basically. I feel like everything that's happening within the AI space, all it's doing is we're pushing ourselves into the singularity. What that singularity is, I don't know. We'll have to find out, but I feel like we're not too far away from that. So I'm not going to spend too much time actually testing the model in this video. I just wanted to really get this out as quick as possible. I will make a separate video testing Llama's actual capabilities. But in this case, we're going to use grok.com. If no one's have ever heard of grok.com, it's like insanely fast. They have access, like it's basically free. And they have access to other open source models. So you have Gamma 9B, Gamma 7B, Llama 3.1, 405B, and then 70B, and then 8B as well. So in this case, we're just going to stick with 405B. In this case, what I want to do is within the next 1 minute or so, I want to test how good its summarization capability is. So I basically took a bunch of information that I could find online for the Meta 3.1, Meta Llama 3.1. Get confused. But I basically got a bunch of information. I want to see if I can summarize all the following. So a bunch of Reddit posts and things like that. And then I'm going to just press enter. And let's see. Okay, so this is limited to 16,000 tokens for some. I guess because it's on Grok, I will have to reduce that. So I reduce it. Let's see if that works. Enter. Come on. It's not available. Well, you guys will just have to wait until I make a separate video on actually testing 3.1. Llama 3.1. Man, it's the 3.1s and 4.0s and 4.5s. Like I don't understand these naming conventions, because apparently the next model is 4.0. So why did they just jump from 3.1 to 4? Anyways, that's a different discussion. But yeah, we'll cut it here, and yeah, appreciate you guys staying this far or this long, and until next time, see you guys later. Take care.